I guess you're all very much awake after Matthew, so thank you, Matthew, for doing this brilliant warm-up. And we're going to stay a bit in the comms branding field, and I can't really succeed doing this presentation myself, so I really need your help and you guys to stay awake, because we're going to do something that I think a lot of us think can be fun, and it's doing a bit of killing, because I think we talked about so many myths over these last couple of days. So if you can help me kill some of those myths in the next couple of sessions, or in the next couple of 20 minutes. And please also, if you have other myths that I don't have up there, use the hashtag, share them, and then we can all kill them again next year. Wouldn't that be a great idea? You want to help me kill something? Good. Perfect. I'm going to use an old classic sustainability joke, but sustainability is like teenage sex. Everybody says they're doing it, but nobody really are. And I think that's a challenge. But anyway, a little bit about me. I wrote the little book up there called Goodvertising a while back. I came from advertising background, copywriter, and not too long into my 10 years at that time, I kind of felt at odds with what I was doing. So the last couple of years I've been on a mission, and you know, I think we all can agree that the advertising industry isn't the most beneficial to society always, so this is kind of my mission. We have made you buy shit, but can we also make the world better too? And I really do think we can. I really do think that brands can move from being part of the problem to part of the solution. So let's get on with the killing, the fun part. Sustainability communication, who cares? Anybody recognize that one? Good. I agree, but the big problem essentially is that people don't really care about advertising either. People actually do hate advertising. So maybe it's not only sustainability that got a problem, advertising got a problem. And if you really think about it, most of you, those of you who work with comms, those of you who work with branding, and those of you who just sit at home, you know, want to watch this fun clip with Jimmy Fallon. The thing that comes in the way is that little pre-roll ad. You all recognize it, right? The only thing you're looking at is to skip that ad, right? Yeah? We don't like it. I don't know how many of you have ad blocker. You all know what ad blocker is, so you can't see ads online. How many of you use this ad blocker? Still, why I'm asking Matthew, you made a good point, I can't see a thing. Anyway, let's just say it was half of you, anyway. Good. European statistics is around 25%, depending on the countries. So I think advertising is challenged, and we need to find a way forward. And I'm not the only one who says it. I think these guys up here, Social Media Check, they say it even worse than I do. I don't even want to read some of that stuff. We as Social did a survey. They looked at 5 million tweets, and actually also tweets coming out of Spain. 5 million tweets. 3 million of those tweets were positive, so yeah, we're happy advertising, we're happy about advertising. 2 million of those tweets were negative. So we have an issue there. And I think the problem is, and I think Matthew talked about it a little bit as well, that we are stuck in a mindset where we make products the hero, even though we might not have the most superior product. So again, don't take my words for the truth, but listen to what Elise is saying. I hate Dunkin' Donut commercials because they make their coffee sound delicious, when in fact it's disgusting sludge. I'm a big coffee lover. It is disgusting sludge. It doesn't taste good. So why do we keep pretending that our products are the best in the world? Because that's not how it works anymore. When I started advertising, I had TV, radio, all that stuff. The truth was, whatever we told people, they would kind of believe it after a while. Today, your brand is built not by what you tell people, but what people tell each other. So it's a completely different mindset. So again, Coca-Cola goes out, they do the little happiness factory, they talk about great tasting products. The thing is, when we look down at ourselves, we kind of see Coca-Cola as a little bit more of a fat factory. I really like the little subtitle there, am I really just big-boned? And I think a lot of us can ask ourselves that question. What's great about the myth about, do people care about sustainability communication? And I'm so happy that Matthew had some solutions in terms of the questions you need to ask yourselves. So start talking about needs, start talking about things that people care about. One really good example, Again, a sustainability branding marketing presentation without Chipotle would be plain wrong. So of course, Chipotle, food with integrity. They dare to talk about things like ingredients, treating animals right. So try to look for those conversations. I'm sure that people are going to care. My issue is that we're actually just very bad at telling these stories. I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to challenge those of you from the advertising industry in this room, that we don't tell these stories right. And that's why it goes wrong. So let me just give you a very, very quick example. So what I want you to do right now is to raise both of your hands like this. All of you, come on. Still got a bit of energy in the room. Good. The next slide is going to be an exciting slide. On the next slide, you can read some copy, and you've got to do what the copy says, okay? Yeah? You promise? Yeah. I promise you're not going to get naked or anything, but so do what the next slide says, okay? 3, 2, 1, now. Whoa. Whoa, what happened? You didn't know how to point. The thing is, our mind works the way that we don't read. We are visual human beings. So every time you tell your stories, it goes wrong because you deal with logic and all that stuff. That's not how it works. So when you do your biodegradable whatever cups, when I look at it, it looks like a takeaway cup. A takeaway cup is not good. You can write whatever on that cup, it's not going to change a thing. We are visual human beings. So think visually. Like this one here. I know panda bears can't drive. I haven't seen one yet do it. But it makes an emotional ad. I get moved. I get attached to it. That's the stuff we need to do. And why? If we look at how our brains work, I'm not a brain scientist in any way, but I can try to do a quick recap of that stuff. But actually, our decision-making happens in the oldest part of our brain, the limbic brain. That's the control center of emotions and decisions. But it doesn't have a capacity for language. So when we talk about brands, when we talk about campaigns, we use words like, because we can't really talk about it. And that's essentially one of the big problems when we talk about sustainability communication and why we don't succeed. And that brings me to the second myth. Have any of you heard this myth? Matthew talked about it. Nobody want to pay for that green stuff. True? Yeah? Again, I think the challenge is that we are simply not good enough to telling the sustainability stories and getting them right. I've worked in advertising and I've sold some horrible stuff. I'm going to admit that. I've got people convinced that they have the fourth blade on the shaver. That would be a great thing. Things like this, you know, a iPod docking station with toilet paper. I've sold that. I mean, we can sit there, we can listen to this little. It's not, yeah. So the problem is, we are essentially on two planets, and your biggest role is to build a bridge. I talk about how marketing is from Mars and sustainability is from Venus. These are two different disciplines, and that's why it goes wrong most of the time. That's the guy from the cuckoo's nest. It's such a nice image. Anyway, on planet sustainability, everything is rational. Everything's being measured, right? But on planet marketing, it doesn't work like that. I know the planet is not blowing up if I drive my car, but it moves me to action. On planet sustainability, everything is complex. The whole story about garments, super, super complex. If you want to involve me, it needs to be simple. Again, measurement, it's great. I mean, the hip investor guy, I was thrilled about it. I was absolutely supporting it. The problem is just, we move on excitement. That's actually a shoe. You can bury it and it's going to grow a little fruit tree or whatever. Super exciting. Informational versus actionable. So your biggest role is to build that bridge. And it's not easy because you have the complex side and you have the emotional side. When you succeed, I'm quite sure, again, a sustainability classic, all of you have seen that campaign, the ugly fruits and vegetables, right? When you guys succeed building that bridge, it becomes simple, emotional, and people act on it, and they're ready to pay for it. That campaign, the ugly fruits and vegetables, have traveled across 10 markets, and I think 8 supermarket chains, recently Whole Foods. So if you get the story right, I'm sure that people are willing to pay for it. And if you don't trust my word, I got Jackie Chan there for you. He says, what the fuck, keep it simple, stupid. Best advice. It's Jackie Chan, he's always right. Third myth, sustainable brand, not important. There's all this talk about purpose and all that stuff. But let's look at what is a sustainable brand. Nerds will rule the world. I really do believe in that. And I heard some really nerdy stuff. You guys are nerds, and it's fantastic. And it's proven by these guys. I'm sure you can recognize them, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. I think the new nerds that are going to rule the world are you guys. I want to be friends with you. I'm a marketeer. I'm not a nerd. I want to be friends with you guys because you are going to rule the world. Let me just show you one reason for that. I think Matthew had this slide as well. The 5 biggest global megatrends that are going to shake the next 20 to 30 years all have something to do with sustainability. Isn't that great? We should be excited about that. Let me show you one example. I don't know if anyone want to have a burger right now at $325,000 burgers. Anybody want to buy it or buy it? The story about that is a nerd called Mark Post. So what he did was he grew a burger from what we all have in our bodies, muscular tissue. So he did a lab-grown burger. I'm not sure how many of you would take a bite when you know that. But the fascinating part about this story is this was in 2011, and probably some of you remember the story. 3 years later, same burger is down at $11.25. And apparently they did a food testing, and the chef said it tasted pretty good. So this stuff is changing how we dress, how we eat. I saw the growth hackers from, I can't remember what it was, where they grew dresses out of mushrooms. That's fascinating. Let's look at one of the brands, one of the brand examples. We all know urbanization. I'm going to Istanbul tomorrow. Traffic in Istanbul is horrible. You never know if it's going to take you 1 hour, 3 hours. That's a problem if you want to sell cars, because we can't squeeze more cars into our cities. I don't know if you know what that picture illustrates. In Denmark, we don't do the kisses on the cheeks. We do the oddly man hugs. And that's not a odd man hug. This is what's called road rage. So people fighting each other. So that's what happens when you put too many people into the city. So one of the brands that want to solve that, and I don't know if there's any car brands in the world, probably some of you are looking at this as well, is BMWs. They moved from plug-in cars, selling cars, to solving mobility challenges. And in Denmark, they launched a program with their BMW i3, their hybrid car, where they placed 400 of those cars at public transit areas, metro station, bus stops, whatever. They're becoming part of the mobility infrastructure. I believe that's where you need to move your brand. It needs to be built on actions. Good. We don't want to talk about that. The business of business is business. Have any of you heard that stuff? All the time? I think it's been one of the recurring themes of this conference is to prove the business case. I don't know how many of you remember this film. I think it says it pretty well.
Show you the money. Not show you! Show me the money! Show me the money! Yeah! Louder! Show me the money! That's it, brother, but you got to yell that stuff! Show me the money! I need to feel you, Jerry! Show me the...
Probably a lot of you recognize that when you go into your CFO or your marketing department. You know, where's the money in sustainability? I think that we have had so many good cases in this conference. I'm only going to focus on 2 maybe. First one, Unilever, always again a sustainability conference classic. But Keith Weed, the CMO, this year actually went out and said, it's actually paying off. The transition we've done through marketing and through action is paying off. The brands, the sustainable brands, grow twice as fast and they deliver half the growth. Isn't that impressive? Another one I want to talk about very shortly. I don't know how many of you have followed this little Exxon scandal recently. So the New York State attorney are looking into suing ExxonMobil. I don't think that the big thing here is not so much lying about climate change to the public, but actually lying about that they knew about climate change years back. So they actually lied to investors. So that's a big thing. So I really do believe that, you know, the whole doing good, we don't need to look at that anymore. People have killed that already today. Let's look at the greenwashing part. Is it greenwashing? It's not always an easy one to answer, because I must say that a lot of the time, unfortunately, I see some horrible examples out there. I call it the greenwashing bullshit bingo, because I see so many times it goes wrong. So again, think about planet marketing and sustainability and see how you can build that bridge. Because there's too many examples out there where it goes wrong. Again, Matthew talked about purpose. Doritos and gay sex? Is it only me that thinks that's kind of odd? What has Doritos to do with gay sex? Where's the purpose? Don't get too far when you do your brand lettering and you look at your little potato chip and you think, we can go higher. We're going to save the world. When I read most of the purposes today from companies talk about, let's do good for people and planet. Most of them, generic stuff. You need to make it relevant. You need to make it product relevant. Else, I kind of think it's a little bit of a greenwashing. And unfortunately, having worked in advertising, I see great cases out there, but they're simply quite wrong. And let's look at one of my favorite cases, actually. It's called the Happiness Arcade. Any of you have heard about this case from Coca-Cola? So what they wanted to do, and I think it was a great thing to do, they went into Pakistan where they don't have any infrastructure for recycling. I come from Denmark, we have that. You get a financial gain when you deliver your bottle back. But they said, how can we get people to recycle more? So they put up one of those, I don't know, again, how many of you, I was still that age where I actually experienced the arcade game machine. I don't know how many of you actually remember those. But they put up arcade game machines, but instead of a coin insert, you can actually insert a plastic bottle. Isn't that great? So you're rewarded with fun for returning your plastic bottles. I'm like, that's a great idea, Coca-Cola. I really applaud that. They made a beautiful case video, and the impact, 6 locations, 6 days. Is that changing anything, really? For me, that's marketing. It's not changing anything. Another campaign, this was actually a Cannes winner. It's the World Cup of Advertising. It got a gold. Samsung wanted to improve traffic safety. I don't know why Samsung has anything to do with traffic safety, to be honest. So they put up this little thing so you would know when you could take over the truck. Again, how many places did they do it? Or did they do it to win an award? And I think, unfortunately, that our industry is still stuck in that mindset where we don't think about creativity that really solves problem. They're not moving brands to become sustainable brands. They're still stuck in the problem rather than the solution mindset. Let me give you one example. Probably some of you know there's lots of Buffetts. And I can't even remember if he's the third Buffett or the second Buffett, whatever. He used to be a farmer, and now he's working for the Buffett Foundation, which is great. Warren Buffett gave away $37 billion through the Giving Pledge. Amazing stuff. But why I'm going to talk about this guy is he talks about impact. For every dollar spent, what is the impact of the foundation? And I think this is something that I think is important to talk about when we talk about marketing as well. What is the impact of our companies? If we want to be part of the solution, how can we do it? I mean, we see guys like this, Howard Schultz. You remember Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks? And he's on Time magazine because he does lots of stuff for unemployment, for race, for jobs, for veterans. He's doing impact. He's not paying taxes. So again, if you measure dollars versus impact, some of those conversations are emerging. In the UK, people went into the Starbucks stores and said, you're not doing enough. Start paying your taxes, else it's lip service. So this is dangerous times. People are demanding much more. And for me, it's all about the impact. When that's said, the starting point in my book and what I really wanted to research was the correlation between when you do good for people and planet, it's also going to be good for brand and bottom line. I really do believe in that. Our challenge is that we are up against organizations. That's also why we are myth killers, myth busters here today, right? We want to kill some of those myths. One of the myths I was up against was this guy here. I think he can teach us a thing or two. Anybody recognizes this guy? Some of you do? Martin Sorrell, yes, he's a good guy to know. He's a good guy to know. He gets a paycheck, I think it's 36 million pounds every year for being the CEO of the world's biggest communication group, the WPP. So when I wrote my book, I thought, what better guy to ask about Goodvertising, sustainability, all that stuff. He had a little corporate text about it, and he said, reach out, write me if you have any questions. So I want to know what your group is doing and what you think about this trend. I got an email back. That's pretty good. Too much going on? Sorry. That was his response. Remember, this is a confidential email, so please keep this between me and Facebook and all of us in the room, and please do tag him. I'm sure he's also on Facebook, he's at least on Twitter. I'm like a pit bull, so I bite in my legs until I get what I want. So I wrote him again, and I explained all the agencies, all the people, all the impact, and all that stuff. And I got a second response back. That's great, he responds, he's in communication. Too much going on, sorry. No, sorry, just jammed. That was his second response. Why am I sharing this story? Because I think what happens most of the time is we sit at these conferences and we go back to our daily lives. All the 5 myths, you have the knife in your hand right now and you want to kill them. As soon as you're back on the office, Wednesday morning, you go into the office, you drink your coffee and doing nothing. Because, sorry, I'm just jammed. Nothing happens. The whole conference, the how now, I really truly believe that most of you, you're seasoned professionals, know how to do this stuff. I think what we're battling with really is the now. So what I'll encourage you all to do is go and do all of this stuff now, and let's do some killing. So thanks a lot for listening, and please do some just some more myth. Thank you.